Mountain
This
Shadows
is scary.
neighborhood, Flying W Ranch. That's what we're looking at, I believe, from this vantage point. You can see the flames are incredibly active right there as they've been making their way down the hill. And you can see the smoke making its way basically from northwest to southeast right there. And that primary wind is what drove this fire down the slope. And as Sonny was saying, literally was making it jump. We had not seen that jumping take place up until today because the wind really wasn't working with the fire toward a populated area. It was blowing the fire away from the populated areas. But once that wind came through, this impacted with the fire. Unfortunately, this breaks your heart.
It's awful. You know, this is looking northwest from Centennial and Garden of the Gods. So looking to the northwest, just about the area you thought it was, Brian. We saw a few moments ago the house going up. We see houses in the foreground there with the fire in the background. We have to assume somewhere in that area of flame there are probably some other structures of some kind.
Well, and you can see where the most active
I'm actually voting for him, so you could save your time.
Lori, who do we have out there?
Is that Pedro?
Is that...
Okay. Lori,
yeah, I've been doing that through the website, so
and
his
it looks
website.
like maybe immediately to the right there was something else that was burning. I mean, I don't know if he can hear us, but we're looking for kind of a wider shot or a more panoramic shot, maybe just to give folks an idea.
Not through here, not right
now. Tell them maybe to widen out just a little bit.
I'm in Colorado. We got this emergency fire that's happening right now. I don't know if you
we'll get that. There we go. There we go.
You can see, I mean, you know, looking immediately there to the right of the house.
We got a crisis here in Colorado Springs. So.
It looks like something very much organized right there to the right of that is burning too. That may be an additional structure. And I know Sonny was talking about multiple structures right there. And then if we can pan just a little bit to the right. To give folks an indication, kind of coming down the slope just a little bit. We're just kind of looking for a little wider view if possible. Yeah, there you go. That's kind of the view that I was looking for. So you can see looking northwest from Garden of the Gods Road in Centennial, and then if you pan even out a little bit wider, you can see the scope of this. The towering black smoke plume that I was looking at on the Marriott cam right behind that Staples sign is literally the active front part of the fire that I was looking at with the Marriott cam. And then if you come back to the south, you actually see a chopper right there flying through, likely doing some spot checks. Maybe it's a news chopper, something like that. We're not sure, but extremely active fire burning right there. Closer to the homes, though, it looks like a lot of that fuel may have been expended. Just kind of what I'm looking at, Don. I mean, I don't know if you look at the video, you can see a lot of that ground. There's not a lot of tall standing trees right there, and you have to wonder that maybe a lot of those folks in that area, and hopefully there was some fire mitigation that is going on that may have prevented maybe some of that fire from spilling down immediately into that neighborhood. Still too early to tell, but a lot of that fuel has been used right there just to the back of those homes.
And look, it looks like you're right, Brian, that it's more grass and brush than it is large trees, and that can certainly burn just as readily, but it tends to stop it from spreading as much.
Brian, you know, I want to give an update really quick. It looks like Garden of the Gods, Flying W Ranch. We're trying to get on their Facebook page right now. Our computers are so overwhelmed with the volume of people who are on our Facebook page right now. We're hearing from that Flying W Ranch. Okay. We have confirmed that Flying W Ranch has burned to the ground, including several homes around it. That is what our news director is telling me right now. So a terrible, tragic loss for this community. Flying W Ranch has burned to the ground, as well as several homes around it. We are trying to get more confirmation on exactly the number of homes. But that is the very latest information into our newsroom.
We have a statement actually that's been posted on that Facebook page by the Flying W Ranch. I'm just going to read it to you because it's really a difficult thing to hear. If you've been in this community for any time at all, you know the Flying W. Here it goes. It is a sad day for the Flying W Ranch. With much sadness, we have to report that the Flying W Ranch, as well as several homes in the Mountain Shadows area, have in fact been burned to the ground. We ask that in this sad time you remember the Flying W and the Wolf family, who has owned and operated the Flying W Ranch since 1953.
Oh, boy.
If you have made an online reservation or a deposit, your money will be refunded at a later date when we have a chance to gather our thoughts. We ask that you pray for all the families within the area, and we assure you we will rebuild. That's all our love. Flying W Ranch staff is especially ownership. So what we have there in the course of just a couple of paragraphs, obviously, is sadness, regret, a genuine concern for customers who've paid money, telling them they're going to get it back. And then a last sentence of hope there. We ask for you to pray for the families within the area. We assure you that we will rebuild. Well, we had heard it earlier.
Look
just
at
a
that
couple
fire
of hours
line.
ago in a phone call with the
is that fire line behind there that I see?
Someone who owns the Flying W Ranch. They believe that their property had in fact burned to the ground, and now we've got confirmation from them in writing that it did in fact happen. So it is just sad. I can't imagine anyone watching who hasn't heard of the Flying W Ranch, and most people watching have probably been there at one point or another in the last several decades.
That whole mountain's on fire.
She told us, the
that
owner
whole
earlier, that I think her dad built that 60 years ago.
1953 is when they took over.
They were
the Flying W
focusing
Ranch.
also on the other side of the
from
mountain, and then it came up on the other side.
Old West Town there. And look at the fire activity right now.
You can see. Tell us again where this vantage point is, so we can get.
Oh, there goes another home.
From Centennial and
here comes some other home.
Garden of the Gods.
If they can hold that shot.
Structures are on fire on top of the roof.
Well, and you can see the little trees. And I know there are little trees right there in the foreground, but that northwesterly wind is continuing to fan these flames. And we knew that this wind would probably last for a little while longer, likely for at least the next hour or so, before we can at least see it calm down just a little bit. But as long as we have that breeze doing what it's doing, you can see the flames kind of coming up the crest of that ridge and are spinning. They're literally spinning. You'll get these little fire whirls or literally fire tornadoes. You can see them looking right there in the center part of your screen that are coming up the backside of that ridge, and just simply
a house caught on fire.
Using all of that fuel, and even
right
down
there
here at the base of the hill, we have some additional. There's a house right there in the foreground. You can't tell what's on fire immediately behind it, but that is definitely a very active fire still going right there.
Oh, Brian, and we heard.
Where's all the choppers dumping water?
This had just leapt from one place to another. She talked about the fact
you think you would have like
a particularly hot wildfire
50 choppers over there dumping water.
Mini weather patterns, and it looks like that's exactly what we're seeing in there.
We talk about that a lot. When a fire gets big like this and it has terrain to work with, it does generate its own weather. It generates its own wind, which makes it incredibly hard to target, incredibly hard to fight. And I know just from this
watch out, buddy.
to the incident commander last evening, he was especially concerned about the eastern flank. We talked a lot about that last night on the air.
Yikes. All right, I'm going to take a part 2 video.